I'm very pleased to have this talk in the first webinar series of GMBA to present flora and vegetation types of Alborz Mountains, which is in North Iran, located in Southwest Asia, meeting point of two global biodiversity hotspots, Caucasus and Irano-Anatolian biodiversity hotspots, and also meeting point of two biogeographical regions, Irano-Turanian and Euro-Siberian, which northern slopes are, Euro-Siberian biogeographic region, and high alpine and southern slopes are Irano-Turanian biogeographical regions. Alborz is a elevationally high mountains starting from 26 meters below sea level up to 5,671 in the top of Damavand. Heterogeneous climate and topography resulted different vegetation types in different aspects and elevations. In the northern slopes, because of high precipitation, we have Hyrcanian deciduous forests. In southern slopes, lowlands, we have dried habitats, deserts, semi-deserts habitats, and then a bit higher elevations, subalpine umbelliferous vegetation types, alpine and subnival vegetation types. Such a heterogeneous environment and habitats resulted very diverse flora and biodiversity, especially high amount of endemic species in this region. Although Alborz is one of the, in area size, the smallest mountain range of the region, 5 times smaller than Zagros, but the flora and biodiversity is very rich, and more than 400 species are endemic to Alborz itself. In this graph, we see all endemic species of Iranian plateau and how they are shared in different mountain ranges. More than 760 species of Iranian endemics are in Alborz, and 400 of them are endemic to Alborz itself. And also, in grid-based analysis that we have done, Central Alborz is the richest for the endemics in the whole region. This is all because of the heterogeneous climate and environmental habitats in this region, resulted different vegetation types. And here we shortly look to different vegetation types of the region. In southern slopes with low precipitation. In lowlands, we have deserts, halophyte vegetation types, with some beautiful species like Cistantia tubulosa, widely distributed in this region, and Linaria michauxi, an endemic to the central part of Iran. And also, the region is diverse for the fauna and animals. Then we have semi-deserts in a bit higher elevation, foothills of Alborz. Precipitation increase a bit. Artemisia steppes we have in this region. Some of beautiful plants that we have, like Tulipa micheliana, very, very widely distributed in eastern Alborz. Sorry, this is, yes. And Fritillaria gibosa, widely distributed in whole Iranian mountains. It's not common, but it is widely distributed in the mountains. Coccinia macrantera, another beautiful species. Rosa persica and Cleome Cluteoides, distributed in this zone. Gypsophilus hills are scattered and isolated in different parts of Alborz. Especially they are more in northern Iran, but in Alborz are also scattered, producing very, very beautiful landscapes and their own flora. Some examples, Caligonum junceum is one of the species, and some other species are present in this habitats, Glaucium flavum, Ochrandeni, and also Iris songarica are the species that we can see in these habitats. And also other beautiful landscapes with birds and animals. I don't know if my video will play here, but yeah, also very, very beautiful insects and animal we can see in these habitats. A bit higher elevations with more precipitation, we have steppe shrublands. The precipitation increase, and then we have in this zone also some bulb species like Tulipa cistola or Tulipa montana, Tulipa biebristeniana, or some iris species like Iris reticulata, Iris iberica, and Iris meda. They are very beautiful in the mountain zone of southern slopes of Alborz. And also these habitats are rich with animals, fauna, reptiles, mammals, insects, very beautiful species we have in these habitats. Then a bit higher elevations in southern slopes with a bit more precipitation, Juniperus excelsa woodlands cover 2,500 to 3,300 meters above sea level. They are scattered in some regions of Alborz, southern slopes. In major parts, they are destroyed because of anthropogenic activities. And in this zone also, we can see bulb species like Tulipa ulophila, which is very rare and local endemic species in this zone. In northern slopes of Alborz, high precipitation between 1,500 millimeter per year to 2,000 millimeter. They produce deciduous forests, refuge for many relict species of tertiary period, for example, Parotia persica, Quercus castaneifolia, and Populus caspica in lowlands of these habitats, or in a bit higher elevations, Quercus macrantera, which covers forest line, upper limit of forest line, with some bulb species also in this zone, like Fritillaria radeana, Galanthus transcaucasicus, and Fritillaria kochiana. One of the interesting aspects here that I want to present is the forest line that previously I thought it is tree line of the Hyrcanian forests covered with Quercus macrantera, but later our studies, we got some new results that I will explain you now. In this meeting 2010, organized by Professor Körner, Christian Körner, former chief of GMBA in Chandolin, Switzerland, and I joined to present flora and vegetation types of alpine habitats of Iran. And here I presented the tree line as 2,500 meter in northern slopes of Alborz covered with Quercus macrantera. Professor Körner was surprised to know that tree line is so in low elevation in this latitude, and also covered with crocus, which normally tree line species are conifers. We had some communication, how we can study these habitats. Then he invited me to his alpine course, 2012 in Furka, Switzerland. Very nice landscape, very beautiful species. It was very nice experience for me. Then we discussed again about the topic tree line and how we can find real tree line in these habitats. And he produced me some temperature loggers to put in the forest line in the tree zone to find the soil temperature of the growing season and compare it with the global tree line zones in different parts of the world, which soil temperature in growing season is 6.7, but what we had was 11.3, which is much warmer, around 5 to 4 degrees warmer than what is for the tree lines zones of different regions. So it shows that, yeah, this cannot be real tree line. But why we don't have tree line in these forests, real tree line? One of the reasons is harsh overgrazing. As you can see in this photo, it is 2,500 meter. Trampling of the herds and cattle result in such landscapes, and three species, Quercus macranthera, cannot regenerate in these habitats because of the overgrazing and trampling. And if we wouldn't have harsh overgrazing, three species of the Quercus macranthera can grow high elevation, 2,850 meter, because we can see in some rocky habitats, this species is growing. But again, there is a gap, because according to the temperature that we found, the real tree line should be in 3,300 meter, but why there is no tree in this habitats? The reason is that we don't have real tree line species, taxa, which usually covered with conifers, Picea, Abies, Pinus, Larix. Such a species in Hyrcanian forest are not present. And it is not also because of anthropogenic activities. Palynology of the region shows that these species haven't been in this region for more than 200,000 years. So it is a natural situation, but yeah, real taxa of the tree line are absent. And this is an open question why these species are not there. So result of this study, including other bioclimatic characterization of the Alborz Mountain, was published in Alpine Botany, and I'm honored for this paper with Professor Kerner, and it was very nice experience. So let's go to the next vegetation type, subalpine tall umbelliferous vegetation types, usually covered with Apiaceae family as dominant species, Prongos, Ferula, Dorema, such genera are dominant in these habitats. And in this zone, we can see some beautiful plants like this Papaver bracteatum, very big flowers covering the subalpine zone of the Damavand, for example, part of the central Alborz, or this Iris barnomae, local endemic to central Alborz, or Iris acutiloba, widely distributed in Iranian mountains. And also Tulipa humilis, one of the, or I would say the highest tulipa species in Iranian mountains, with very, very variable color and flowers, one of the beautiful tulips of the region. Subalpine wetlands, very beautiful landscape we can see in this habitats. Ranunculus kochi and is very dominant, and also Muscari armeniacum, range restricted species in these habitats. Ebes higher elevations are covered with alpine concussion grasslands, and for example, Onobrichis cornuta, the pink flower, is very dominant in windy slopes, and Astragalus macrosemius also, concussions. You can see how they change their position when it is a bit, slope is when it is more windy or less windy, the dominancy of the species changes. And in this zone, snow melting time is very, very important in species composition and vegetation dynamic, like other alpine habitats of the world, but here is more visible because of the dry summertime. And as you can see here, we have, even in mid summer, some snow in northern faces, and the melting of the snow in the June, July, August produced very different vegetation layers. These photos, as you can see, is taken different times, and the photo in the left side is the same region, but taking photo from other side, from these hills, showing that in northern face we have snow beds, and look at the result of this phenomenon, snow melting time, and its impact on the distribution of vegetation types, vegetation layers in the topology. And as we can see here, growing season is very different from the depressions where the snow beds are, to the ridges of or mound of the hill, and with long growing season and short growing season, and it makes very different vegetation layers for these habitats. And with global warming, it seems that habitats of snowbeds will disappear, and the other habitats which are more dry with long growing season will invade to these habitats. And one more step higher, subnivel zone, with some beautiful species. I love these habitats because usually plants are alone and very beautiful, such as Didymophysa auscheri, one of the highest species of these habitats, Physoptachys gnaphalodes, and this beautiful Veronica pydrota, all above 4,000 meters. And also this beautiful Paraquilegia cespitosa, very, very rare species that I have seen only once in Alamcourt, and it was not easy to take photo and see it. With increasing elevation, our study shows that endemicity increase in these mountains in Alborz very harshly. It means that in alpine habitats, the proportion of endemics are very high, and in subnivel zone, even higher. In alpine zone, more than 50% of the species are endemic, and in subnivel zone, it is even more, most of the, and this is because of the isolation. Increasing elevation, isolation increase, and then we have high endemicity. Therefore, it's very important to protect these habitats. And in the world that is in the region which is highly threatened by different aspects, land use, climate change, overgrazing is very harsh in this region, and the number of sheep, herds, cattle, the capacity of the vegetation types that cannot easily suffer so much grazing, unfortunately, and it makes the vegetation types a bit different than natural habitat. And as you can see in these photos, most of the slopes are covered with euphorbia, poisonous euphorbia, which are not grazed, or spiny, cirsium, cousinia, or cushion plants, which naturally shouldn't be like that. This is all because of the overgrazing, and also climate change, which is a global problem. And in alpine habitat is also an important issue. And we have two glorious stations in Iranian mountains, one in central Alborz, the other one in northwest Iran. Almost, it is already 15 years that Alborz station is established, and it is the time for monitor to see what has happened in this 15 years and how the vegetation changed. And we will do it soon this year or next year. I will have a plan to monitor it. And climate change. Look at the Damavand. The only Damavand is the mountain which upper limit of which exceed the upper limit of vascular plants. It means that in this region with climate change, there is no alternative habitats for species to move up. It's not like Alps or Himalaya, which still there are a lot of glaciers, a lot of nival habitats that species can move higher elevations. In this mountains, are only microhabitats are the chance for alpine species to be survived. This is the reason that we have to protect these habitats. A short look to the ecotouristic parts of the region, which is easily possible to visit in a short time, in a week. Very different habitats, desert, alpine, subnival habitat to forest, deciduous forests. And we usually do this once per year to show the students or also hobby botanists different habitats of the region. And also it is rich with cultural aspects, which is attractive to visit. And yeah, I am pleased to organize excursions to this region since 2005, and I am happy that I am able to show beauties of these mountains to nature lovers. And before I finish, I show the last recently published book. Amir and me published this book a few months ago, Flora of Alborz, which presents almost half of the flora of these mountains, describing 1,584 species. And if you are interested, you can ask me to send you. Thank you very much. I hope it was useful. And now I can hand over the talk to Davna and probably to Amir. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Jalil. This is absolutely amazing. And I'm sure that all of those in the audience who have never been there are probably itchy to go. At least my colleague Mark and I were looking at the slides yesterday and thought this is our next trip to the wilderness and to discovering the beauties of our mountains. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We will indeed move on to Amir. So you need to unshare your screen, and Amir will have to share his screen.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen.
So, stop.
Here we go. And I'm opening the floor to you, Amir, and you are sitting in Iran, and we're lucky that the internet connection is good. Here we go.
Okay, my present is about Alborz Mountain and its vegetation and flora.
We don't see your screen yet, though, huh?
Yeah, wait. Can you see now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we see it.
Okay. My
If you
perspective
can
is
make it full screen, we would
Mountain.
see even better. Yeah,
It's
perfect.
full. Okay.
Thank you.
My present is about Damavand Mountain and its flora and vegetation. Damavand is highest peak of Iran and southwest of Asia, located 60 kilometers northeast of Tehran city and in central Alborz Mountains. It's a dormant volcano, was active till 7,000 to 8,000 years ago, but its activity at the moment is limited to emission of some gases from the top, as you see here. And the region harbor very rich flora. We have found we have more than 1,000 species in this region. However, our focus was mostly on southern parts of Damavand, and northern parts is less studied, and mostly there are more than this number in this region. And as we surveyed in between different regional flora, we found that Damavand is one of the richest regions in Iran, and not only in larger scale, but in flatter scale, in the smaller scale, we have highest record of species richness. For example, in 25 meter square plots, we have found more than 60 species. That is highest richness report we found in Iran, and in also in other scales, and other scales we have also highest report in Iran. And along elevation 2,000 meter is the range where we have the highest richness in this region. Moreover, more than 50% of the species are endemic and sub-endemic of Iran, limited just to Iranian plateau. And some of the species are local endemic of the region. For example, some of them, for example, like Iranesio oligolepis and Senesio iranicus, restricted to highest elevations where there is no link to other mountains to escape and distribute. And as you see in the map, the grid where Damavand is located in is one of the richest in endemic compared to other region of Iran. And here you see some beautiful plants of Damavand, some monocots, some of them like Iris pardomaya subspecies Damavandica is endemic of Alborz, central Alborz Mountain, or Allium derderianum is endemic of Alborz Mountain, and some other endemics of the region, endemic of Iran. That's some epithet names dedicated to Damavand. There are many species like this that have epithet name referred to Damavand, like Astragalus damavandi, Collat, Onosma damavandica, and some other species, other important species in different habitats that you see here. And in Damavand, we have highest boundary of plant heroes in Iran. Veronica osheri and Dracocephalum osheri are the species reaching to the highest limit, and also most of the species reaching to these elevations are endemic of Iran and endemic of Alborz. You can see elevation of each species sometimes reach to 4,900 meters. And because of having wide elevational range, start from 1,000 meters, we have different climatic zones and then very diverse vegetation types. In the lowest elevations, we have steppe artemisia grassland. It's sometimes very dry. In some places, we have vegetation units with some succulent canopods. In median elevations, that precipitation is higher. We have juniperous excelsa woodlands, very beautiful, and also very beautiful rocky habitats with very special plants, many endemics, and very unique. We have very, if you hire, we have very unique vegetation types, semi-natural vegetation types created by management of grazing and mowing activity, created some tall herb grassland. And if you higher up in subalpine and alpine zone above 2,500 meters, we have thorn cushion grasslands dominated with Onobrychus cornuta and some Thornius saragalus species. And in some places, this vegetation type reached to 4,200 meters, which is highest thorn cushion associations in Iran. And finally, at the highest elevations above 4,000 meters in Nival zone, we have very sparse vegetation with in iskri and snowbed habitats. Thank you for your time.